All right, so today's topic I think ties in okay with last week. So last week we talked about the idea that you might not have time, and I kind of fucked up. When I listened back on it, I realized I was like wording things not exactly how I meant them. I'm pretty sure it was obvious what I was talking about, but a lot of times I found myself saying stuff like, you might not have time to do this and you might not have time to do that. When what I was really trying to get at is you might not have time to put off this and might not have time to put off that. I'm assuming everybody that listened understood that, but as I was listening, I'm like, man, I wish I'd said that different. But anyway, so last week we did that. This week, I think this ties in nicely with that because, the beginning of the year, everybody's setting goals and all this kind of stuff. And there's all this talk. There's a lot of talk about people setting goals and then failing. It's pretty common, if you think about like the health and fitness, you see a lot of people at the gym right at the beginning of the year. And then all of a sudden, like everybody seems to fall off. And most people that set those resolutions and all that stuff tend to lose. I don't know. They just tend to fall off. So it's a common thing. So anyway, I don't really care about all that. That's whatever. If that's something that's helpful for you, then to set resolutions and everything, that's cool. I support whatever's going to help you move forward. But so in this case today, what I wanted to talk about is something that I was sort of reminded of from an Alex Hormozi video. And it reminded me, this is sort of a way that kind of the way that I've been living lately. And what he was saying is stop setting goals and start focusing on the actions that you need to do on a daily basis in order to achieve those goals. So I realize I might have just contradicted myself, but I think the idea is like not really focusing on the goals, but just mainly focusing on the daily actions that are required. So, I mean, you obviously have to have some kind of outcome that you're looking for, but you don't have control over that outcome. So you do have control over your daily actions. So I believe that's what he was saying to focus on. And that's kind of how I've been doing things. I've been doing the Andy Frisella's Power List. I think I'm on day 300 and something. I can't remember, but that's pretty much along those same lines. It's about winning each day. You come up with 5 critical tasks that are going to move your life forward, and that could tie into specific goals. So I have a couple of examples, and I'm going to try to make one tie to graffiti so that we can stay, within the culture here a little bit. So let's say you were to set a goal of you want to do 50 pieces in a year. So instead of sitting there focusing on getting 50 pieces done, you could break it down and see what are the daily actions that I would need to take in order to make that happen. So you could break that down, how many pieces per week that you need to do, and then what are the things you can do on other days to kind of support to make sure you get that done. You could say spend X amount of time per week scoping out spots, finding places to piece or something like that. You can do sketches every day to make sure you have fresh ideas. So another one that's pretty easy to get your head around is like if you wanted to lose weight, and this is sort of where I realized that I had been doing this sort of focusing on the daily actions. And, eventually I had started doing that because the way I was doing it before wasn't working. I was focusing on like a certain weight that I wanted to be. Like 200 pounds is a pretty good weight for me at 6'3". And so I would focus on the scale and like getting down to that weight. And I put very little focus on the daily actions that I needed to take. Obviously, I know like eat less shitty food and move more, eat healthier, all that kind of stuff. It's not rocket science, but at the same time, I was pretty heavily focused on that outcome rather than the daily actions. And at one point I decided to just get rid of the scale and stop even being concerned about my weight at all and just focus on what it is that I need to do to get myself healthy and not really worry about the exact outcome that I was looking for. So what I ended up doing is just kind of like having a couple of simple mindset shifts. It was just 2 things. that really helped me the most. One, I just changed the way that I perceived food, and it took some time for it to sink in, but I would always tell myself food is fuel. You know, you're eating to fuel your body, and not be so concerned about the eating the exact thing that you want and all that kind of stuff. And the other part of it when it comes to food was I started to remind myself all the time that when you're eating something really shitty and it's really enjoyable to do that, that whole pleasure only lasts for the time that you're eating. So let's say you eat and it takes you 15 minutes, 20 minutes or whatever, you're enjoying it, but then all the rest of the time you're paying the price for it. So I kept reminding myself that. I guess that's kind of two things, but it's mainly one thing as far as like changing my mindset with how I looked at food. And then the other thing I started doing was I would remind myself how my future self would feel about the decision that I made that day. So my future self being tomorrow. So like if today I didn't eat the way I felt like I should and I didn't exercise, I know that the next day I would be pissed that I didn't do that the day before, and I would really wish that I had done that. So that's kind of like focusing on that day. That's like focusing on the actions that I needed to take to get to where I wanted to go. And I actually took my head just completely off of the outcome. And I never actually got back to thinking about exactly what it is that I want to look like. Or it's not so much aesthetic for me. It's mainly just being healthy. And I know that's like, there's value. A lot of people find value in saying, I want to get down to this percentage of body fat, or I want to go all city by this time and all these kind of things. And that's all cool. I'm not shitting on any of that stuff, but like there's a lot of things between now and that outcome that are out of your control. And all you really can control is the daily actions that you take to get there. And so if you set a certain timeline, like if you were to say, I want to go all city by January of next year, all kinds of shit could pop up in your life that's going to derail that and all that. And then if you get to the end of the year and you didn't hit that target, you know, you may be disappointed, but if you set your mind on just what do I got to do every day to go all city and do those things every day and get really disciplined about doing that stuff every day, you might end up achieving your target way sooner, and you might end up achieving it way later. You never know. So, but you're still moving forward every single day. So it's kind of like focusing on that daily action. So I've heard this phrase talked about in business, and I think, I don't know, I was a little confused by it at first, trying to figure out which ones were which, and it's leading indicators and lagging indicators. So hopefully I don't fuck this up, but say losing 50 pounds by January of next year, that's a lagging indicator. So by the time you get there, you know, you'd be like, okay, well, did I lose the 50 pounds or not? If you didn't, there's nothing you can do. You can't go back and change your shit. But the leading indicator is like, did I eat healthy today? Did I work out today? Did I do whatever it is that I needed? Did I drink a lot of water? Did I, you know, whatever your program is. So those daily things, those are the leading indicators that lead you to that end result. The same thing could be said if you go back to that, I want to do 50 pieces in a year. If you sit there and you focus on, okay, I got to do 50 pieces. And then by the end of the year, did I do the 50 pieces? No, you can't go back and change your shit up. But if you were to say, okay, I gotta do, if I want to do 50 pieces in a year, I got to do about one piece a week. By the end of the first quarter of the year, you got 10 pieces, you know, you're a little bit behind. You can make corrections and, you know, keep moving forward on a daily basis. So it's not overly complicated, and it's not hard to get your head in this direction in terms of getting focused on what you have to do every single day. There's something to be said about having goals, and I really believe in the power of visualization and all that kind of stuff. I think that's awesome, but it's really about winning every day with whatever tasks you need to get done on a daily basis in order to get you to where you want to be. And I just started using this tool that I think is pretty cool. It's an app called Streaks, and you can put in all the habits that you want to, things you want to do or things that you want to track every day. Say you wanted to get into the habit of doing a drawing every day to try to get your style better. You could put that in there, and every day that you do it, you can mark it done. If you miss a day, you miss a day, but then you can look at all that data. So let's say you do that over the course of a year, you can actually go back and click on this little calendar thing and see it'll give you all this information on like how many times did you draw that year. So I'm finding that to be really helpful. I just started using it. I don't have like an affiliate link or anything. It's a tool that I find helpful, especially in something like this, in building those habits in order to get those daily actions in. So overall, it's just about winning the day, because that's all you really have control over is what you do every day. The outcome is out of your control to a certain extent, or maybe completely out of your control. You never know what's going to happen. So just do the tasks you got to do every single day to move you forward. And at some point, you're going to get there. All right.
Appreciate each and every one of you guys who are supporting the cause and continue to spread the love. And yeah, stay up.